So we're holding chapter Nun Hey, 55 in Tehilim, Psalms. This chapter is a very painful chapter because it deals with those who you thought were your friends who turned against you. One of the most infamous ones concerning David HaMelech was Achitophel, his advisor once upon a time. This individual, Achitophel, was a very, very smart man. He was an advisor. And for the most part, all of his advisors were top-notch advisors. They turned out to be really good. So David HaMelech relied on him, Shaul relied on him, Avshalom, the son of David, used him, and that's where the troubles began against David. As you probably recall, Avshalom, one of the sons of David, rebelled against him. So he needed to have people with him. And Achitophel, for all sorts of reasons, betrayed David, went against him. And he was a very dangerous individual because he was a good advisor. He was a smart man. Not just smart, he was a Talmid Chacham, very learned individual. And as we said last week, it's very difficult to understand how great people, learned individuals, can go sour, can go bad, can make terrible mistakes. And that's what David HaMelech partially does here in communicating to us what he experienced. He's not complaining. He's sharing with us what he did during these types of experiences. The entire Sefer Tehilim is about all kinds of experiences that people can have in real life. And he's just one individual, he was a king, who went through this, and he tells us how to react, how not to react, the importance of having faith and trust in Hashem, turning to God, praying to Him, not giving up. So this is not about David HaMelech complaining. A lot of people think he's just venting out. No, neither is he wishing bad for his enemies. There's a lot of important lessons to be learned from everything that he experienced. And every word is special. There's no real repetition. There's a need to say what he says. The idea of this shiur that we're having here on Tehilim is not just to translate the words, even though some words may be difficult and it's good to have a good understanding of what we say. But the more we understand the deeper meaning of the words, the easier it will be for us to have the proper kavanah, the proper intent and focus when we do say these words. After all, our tradition says that these words have tremendous power. The Segula, by the way, of chapter 55, remind me, I'll tell you next week. I don't have it with me right now. What is the special power of this chapter? As you know, every chapter has a unique power that when it is said, especially with kavanah, it could be effective for something. So this is another chapter or another composition for the conductor that David HaMelech requests it should be done with instrumental music, bin ginot. It is sad, it is painful. He felt very bad, and perhaps the niginot here are to bring out the joy. At times we're sad, we don't feel right, we're very much in pain, emotional pain and physical pain. And music can do wonders. This is also maskil, as I mentioned last week. There are lessons that are being imparted to us here, valuable lessons on how to deal with a very painful situation. Ha'azina Elohim tefilati ve'al tit'alam mitchinati. David HaMelech asks that God should listen to my prayer and do not hide from my pleas. So immediately one sees, at least in the Hebrew language, some similar words, and he wonders what exactly is the difference. After all, why say, listen to my prayer, and then do not hide from my pleas? Isn't that pretty much the same thing? Listen, do not hide. And in the third pasuk, he appears to be repeating himself. Hakshiva li va'aneni. Hakshiva li can be translated, also listen to me, but the better translation is heed me, or pay heed to me and answer me. Va'aneni, arid b'sichi va'hima, as I lament in my distress. B'sichi means in my talk, but in my pain, in my distress. Va'hima, and as I moan. Now, when one reads this, he might think, wow, what is the difference between moan, distress, please, answer me, do not hide from me? What exactly is David HaMelech communicating to us here? So David HaMelech is faced here with a very bitter and painful phenomena that has happened to some people in life, where his own son turned against him, his own friends joined the ranks of the enemy. These were people that he trusted. These are the ones that are the most difficult for you to protect yourself, to defend yourself, especially if you don't know that they are your enemy. As David HaMelech points out elsewhere various times, Hashem, help me with my friends. I can defend myself from my enemies, because I know who they are. But from my friends, those that claim to be my friends, and they're really not, how could you protect yourself? What if you want to say something to someone, and it turns out that it will be used against you? You really have to be careful. This exists in real life. And this is what they call, I think in English, a double crosser. Here you're trusting someone, he appears to want to help you, and he goes out against you and hurts you. Terrible. So why is he putting so much emphasis on the prayer here, that Hashem should listen to him? The rabbis tell us that prayer is a very powerful tool, extremely powerful tool. It's an extremely powerful tool that if used properly, it could be effective. It all depends if the individual is worthy. It depends what he's asking. If you ask Hashem, please give me $1 million, he's not going to necessarily give you the money because it might be detrimental. It may hurt you. When we ask for something spiritual, there's a better chance that Hashem will answer our prayers. Hashem, help me pray better. Help me get closer to you. Help me in my relationship with my spouse. These are normal things that everybody should pray for. And obviously, if one makes an effort as well to improve his relationship, he doesn't just ask Hashem to help, Hashem will assist him. But physical matters in life, we don't know what Hashem has in store for us. There's a mazal. Everyone has a unique mission to accomplish, and it may just be that what he wants in life may go contrary to Hashem's plans, which is why the verse says, "Rabot mahashavot v'levish v'atzat Hashem hitakum." Man may have many thoughts in his mind, many plans, but in the end, it is Hashem's design, Hashem's plan that will come true. His plan may be completely different than what we had thought of, what we planned on. So prayer is something that one should always do. And what happens if the prayer just doesn't produce anything? Well, then there is a prayer that is said with tears. And what if that does not work? And by the way, a prayer with tears is a lot more powerful, as the rabbis tell us, Sharei dim'a lo ninalu. The gates of prayer after the destruction of the temple are closed. So how do you get through? With tears. When one sheds tears, when one is really sincere, that has a better chance of getting through because the gates of tears have not been locked. And after that you have za'aka or tza'aka, that one cries out to Hashem, pleading, as they say in English. Pleading is not just praying and asking, it's pleading, crying out to Hashem, as the Jewish people did in Egypt. Their cry went up to heaven. Finally, Hashem says, this is what I was waiting for. And then the Geulah followed. The redemption process began. So sometimes an individual is put into a situation where he eventually will cry out, not just pray. We all pray on a daily basis, but do we cry? Unfortunately, sometimes it takes pain to bring about tears and pleading and so forth. But that is what David HaMelech tells us he did. So first step was ha'azina. Listen to my prayer. Ve'al tit'alam mitchinati. Don't look away or don't hide from my pleas. That's already a plea. Don't hide. In other words, pay attention to what I'm saying. Consider it. Why would Hashem not consider it? Sometimes an individual may have accusations against him, and they work against him. They interfere with those prayers. So David HaMelech says, please, don't turn away. Then he goes one step further in verse 3. Hakshiva li va'aneni, which means pay close attention or pay heed to what I'm saying and answer me. Arid b'sichi va'hima. I'm taking it one step further. I'm lamenting or in distress and moaning. I'm in pain. I'm crying out to you. So as you can see, it's a gradual process of, I was not answered with this prayer. I continue to pray and I raise it one level. And eventually it could be that Hashem will answer. That's what the Rabbis tell us, never discourage, never give up hope, continuously ask, continuously pray. And eventually the prayers will be answered, hopefully. פסוק ד' מכל אויב מפני עקת רשע כי ימיתו עלי אבן ובאף יסתמוני. Why am I praying? Why do I ask you to listen to what I have to say? This is not just a simple request. What I'm asking of you is to listen to my prayers because I'm in pain, I'm hurting from the shout of the enemy, mikol oyev, mipnei akat rasha, the oppression of the wicked. I'm having a very hard time from very unusual type of enemies who are oppressing, who have turned against me, who once upon a time were friends. Ki yamitu alai avenu be'af yistemuni. They accuse me of evil. Otherwise, how would they justify what they're doing? They have to say something is wrong with me. They have to say that he deserves the death penalty. Otherwise, they would not be able to justify what they're doing. So they accuse me of evil. Yamitu alai aven. Ube'af yistemuni, they hate me with a passion. Istemuni is a hatred that is sometimes not observable, but it's a very, very strong. It's be'af. It's a tremendous anger or hate. So, who is he talking about here? As we said, Achitophel and Avshalom especially, and everyone else who was associated with them. What do they want? They want to take away the melucha from him. Avshalom wants to be king. There's a lot of history behind this. We don't have time to go through the history. Why would Avshalom want to be king during his father's time? Would you want to guess? Because he may not get it. Shlomo HaMelech is eventually going to be the king. And Avshalom suspects that because of what he did, because of his behavior, David HaMelech will not give it over to him. So he says, I'm going to take it over now. While I have the power and the might, while I have the people on my side. So there was a lot of politics going on. Why would Achitophel abandon David and go with Avshalom? I mean, people don't really think too much about it. You know, they read through the history or go through the Pesukim. Why would he do that? He was a smart man. Go with Avshalom. After all, he was with David. Politics. There's different explanations given as to why Achitophel was either jealous or upset at David. Obviously, he had to be not too happy with David that he went with Avshalom. But what exact are the reasons for it? There are various opinions. Either way, it's all politics. So you can see the conspiracies, the plots, the issues that arose then, similar to issues that arise today, where people do all kinds of things to take revenge or to hurt others. And obviously it's wrong. It's completely wrong. And what's surprising is that these are learned people. Nonetheless, everyone has the evil inclination, the Yetzirah, and people have succumbed. Yes, some people succeed in life and some people fail, and we're not talking about money right now. It's in the actions, the decisions that we make that sometimes are very difficult to repair. Now here we have individuals who committed tremendous crimes, not just with David HaMelech, other mistakes. And you wonder, okay, what about doing teshuvah? Why not repent? Something is wrong here. And that's a whole lecture in itself. Some people somehow have the merit to do teshuvah, to repent during the lifetime, and some don't. They just die without even thinking of it or without trying. So that has to do with merits. Does Hashem allow them? Because usually Hashem wants everyone, even the Rasha, the wicked one, to return to Him. He doesn't want people to die. And this is repeated various times in different words, that Hashem is not eager to kill people, to punish them. He created us all. He wants everyone to return to Him, to start doing the right thing, even if it's late in life. But look how powerful the Yetzirah is, the evil inclination. It blinds people. Just like bribes, it blinds even the wise. When a person is convinced that he's right and wants to stop him. But there are various ways that you can tell that a person is doing something wrong. In the past couple of weeks, we spoke about the common theme in some of these chapters of Lashon Hara. Gossip, when one slanders another individual or ridicules him, there's no excuse for that. There's no permission for that. You have a complaint, take it to court, take it to Bet Din, or confront the person directly and ask him about a certain issue. Why talk about him to others? This is what causes divisiveness, baseless hatred, sinat chinam. But it's not only what it causes to others. People forget it causes tremendous amount of harm to the individual himself, to the neshama, to the soul. Look what happened to Shaul. He basically went crazy in pursuing David, wanting to have him killed, when he already understood from Shemuel, Your Highness Shaul, you've lost your opportunity to continue to be king. David HaMelech will take over. So there was a ruach ra'ah, this evil spirit that overtook him. We cannot judge him, obviously. We don't understand what exactly happened to him. But we do know that based on how he acted, he was overcome by the Yetzirah. He was overcome by the evil inclination. It wasn't that he was doing something righteously that could be justified. So one of the ways that you can tell that people are not really your friends or not very close to you, you'll be surprised, I mentioned it before, is if they call you by your last name instead of by your first name. Where do we learn this from? From here. Various times, these individuals, like Achitophel or Shaul, those that were against David, how do you think they addressed him when they talked to others about him? Ben Yishai, the son of Yishai. Wait a minute, well, he has a first name. His name is David. No, they never used the first name David. For the most part, they used Ben Yishai. That is an indicator of distance. Whenever I tell this to Israelis, they tell me, well, in the army they can't call Moshe. They have to use the last name because there might be 4 or 5 of them with the same name. All right, so use both names. Anytime you're using a family name to call on someone, There's distance from him. You don't want to use his first name. The first name is the identity of the individual. This is who he really is, not his family name, which is really artificial. Some people, you will notice this, will not call you by your first name. They will call you by your last name. That shows distance. So David HaMelech begins to see quite a bit of this from those that he thought were his friends. Then he realizes they're not so friendly to him. People can catch these things, and hopefully if they catch it on time, they will hopefully be careful with who they befriend and who they share their secrets with. So why is David HaMelech here concerned? Is he really concerned that they will kill him? It's not just that. He knows Hashem protects him, as he's said many, many times. He's afraid he's going to kill his own son. After all, this is whom we're talking about. Achitophel and Avshalom, among others. So he's really in a very difficult spot. What should he pray for? What should he ask? For their downfall? You're going to see the words that he chooses, what he wants Hashem to do. He would rather, of course, avoid the whole thing. He would rather that the machloket, any conflict, any arguments die down, but they don't seem to stop. Next pasuk, Yir'a v'ra'ad yavobi v'techaseni palatzut. Fear and trembling penetrate me, and I'm enveloped or covered with palatzut. Palatzut is like horror, fright. This is a description of what he really felt. It's very difficult to be calm, and he's not telling people, you know what, when you go through something like that, just ignore it. Just stay calm. That's what some people might say. It's okay. Hashem will be there for you. We're all human, and we have feelings. And emotional pain, distress, disappointment, these are real feelings. Now, obviously, the stronger one's faith in Hashem, the better he will be able to handle them. But you can't tell someone, oh, just erase it from your mind. Don't feel it. It's nothing. You're not really counseling him. You're not really calming him down by saying that. We're human. We're just going to act as human beings are. We hopefully will not take it the wrong way. We hopefully will not act upon it in the wrong way. That, yes. We will have the proper attitude and realize that this is from Shemayim. Maybe this is coming to us. That's something different. But we still feel the pain. So he's describing to us the fear that is enveloping him, that his whole body is feeling what he's going through. He has no peace of mind. He really has concern. Is the concern only about him? No. His concern is also what's going to be with them. See, when someone does something to someone else, it's not that the one who's a victim is being hurt. It's the one who is perpetrating the wrong is also in trouble. As we said last time, when Doeg Hadomi told Shaul, I saw David by Achimelech, he doesn't realize he did not only hurt David, he did not only hurt Achimelech, he caused tremendous harm, tremendous damage to Shaul himself. Because Shaul, by believing the Lashon Hara, the slanderous talk, he was punished. He unfortunately acted upon it. It made him very upset. So David HaMelech is concerned not just for himself, for the whole situation. To better describe this, this is a Chilul Hashem of very, very large proportions. The desecration of God's name. Infighting amongst brothers, amongst the Jewish people. Civil war. I mean, that's what this is leading to. So it's a bigger concern, not just about him. It's about the family, it's about the Jewish nation. So he's very much in pain. His whole body feels it. So what do we do? So David HaMelech says, you know, at times I have the following desire. I'd love to fly away, he says, in a very poetic way. says, "Va'omar mi yiten li ever kayona ha'ofa ve'eshkona." If only I had wings, like the dove, like a pigeon, and I would fly away somewhere and rest. Wouldn't that be nice if I could do that? Ine archik nedod alin bamidbar sela. I will wander far away and lodge, alina, lodge somewhere in the wilderness forever. Who needs this? Wouldn't it be nice to just get away from all the troubles and not have to deal with it? Ahisha miflat li miruach so'am isahar. I would prefer to hurry. Ahisha, I would prefer to hurry and find some shelter, miflat, a sheltered leaf for myself. From what? Miruach so'am isar, from the stormy wind, from the sa'ar, from the tempest, from the storm. These three pesukim describe what David HaMelech is dreaming about, what he would really like, what would be so nice, if he can only do that. Does he really think that that's what should happen? No. Because in reality, when a person is being pursued, the rabbis tell us, it's like a pregnant woman who has, I guess you can call them birth pangs or pain as a result of her pregnancy. And she says, you know what? I'm going to run away somewhere else and I won't feel it there. A pregnant woman, wherever she goes, her pain will go with her. If it is destined for someone to undergo pain or to experience something very, very bad, you can't run away from it. You go to the moon, it's going to be there. Maybe a little bit different. If it's destined to be like that, you can't run away from it. David HaMelech is saying, I realize that this may not be feasible, not because it can't happen at all, it's because apparently I need to go through this. But wouldn't it be nice if we can just get away from it? The reason why we can't is not only because it's destined, but also because that's not the way to resolve problems, by running away from them. If he runs away from them, don't you realize that these people have a major issue? They're in trouble. They have Lashon Hara amongst them. They have machloket, divisiveness among them. They're in trouble. They may be learned in Torah, but they're doing something terribly wrong. So David HaMelech says, I can't afford, even if I would love it, to just have the wings of a dove and go rest somewhere quiet, where there's no trouble. Yes, that would be the good feeling, but that is not practical. However, the words Ahisha miflatli, I would hurry to find some shelter, is significant for another reason. The rabbis tell us that if one sees that he's having a hard time, in other words, it's just very, very difficult for him, whether it's his livelihood or whether there are other issues at home, and no matter what he does and what he tries, he sees that everything is against him. It could very possibly be that this is a difficult hour for him. Don't rebel against it. Don't fight it. Let it be, because it will go away. Maybe after a month, maybe after a year, it will go away. Sometimes it's best to not fight something when you see you're not getting your way. Whatever you try, everybody's against you. Things are not working out your way. Everything, no matter what you do. It could be that this is a sha'ah hatzufa. This is a very, very tempestuous hour where one's mazal is at the lowest, or that there's some accusation against him. Don't fight it. If you fight it, you will lose badly. Just let it go. It's like with a wave, they say. Don't go against the wave. Ride the wave. Just ride it out, and you'll be fine. Yeah, it's a big wave. You're going to go against it. So sometimes there are such situations that people just notice that no matter what they do, it's hard. Don't fight it. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try harder. I'm going to go speak to this person. I'm going to go write a letter. And I'm going to go and make a revolution. you're not going to win. In other words, there are signs that sometimes people can tell that this is not a time to fight. Stay low, low key. So that's also something that David HaMelech is insinuating. Achisha mifrate, I'm going to try to get away from this and not fight it. But in the end, he realizes that the problems will continue and something else needs to be done. And that's what we're going to see next. Pasuk Yud, Bala Adonai palag leshonam ki ra'iti Hamas veriv ba'ir. So now he has a special prayer. Hashem, confuse their tongue. Palag is a similar term that's used in Dora Palaga, when Hashem mixed the languages of those who were building the Tower of Babel. And as a result of this mixture, they couldn't understand each other, couldn't communicate, and they just stopped building, and they scattered all over the place, all over the world. So he's using the same kind of term here. What you did there, do here. Confuse them, so that they should not be unified in going against me and doing the wrong thing. So palag leshonam, their tongue, twist their tongue. Confuse them so that they should not be able to think of the same ideas, thwart their advice or their plans. Kira'iti Hamas verifai, because I saw violence and strife in the city. Hamas is also thievery, violence. Why add these words? What you notice in the city? Yeah, because they're not united as it is. They don't deserve your protection. Had they been good people, united, they care about each other, I wouldn't ask for something like this. But they're bad people as it is. You know how I know? Because Yomam Valayla, the next verse, Yud Aleph 11, Yomam Valayla yisovevuha al chomotea ve'ave v'amal b'kirba. Don't think I just saw one thing that was not right. Day and night, I see this encircling upon her walls all that iniquity, the sin, the vice in her midst. Don't think I just noticed one bad thing. It's in their midst. These are people that don't deserve your protection. Hashem, these are people that need to be taught a lesson. He doesn't want them to be hurt. He's not asking for them to be killed. Right now he's asking for palag leshonam. Don't let their advice, don't let what they're thinking succeed. Confuse them so that they stop doing what they're doing. Verse Yud Bet. Havot bekirba v'lo yamish mirchova tochu mirma. Havot is, the best word for havot is treachery. When people think of how to make someone stumble, fall, in a tricky way especially, that's called havot. That's what they're all about. Havot bekirba, within her. V'lo yamish mirchova tochu mirma. And wherever you go, you will see fraud. Toch is fraud or deceit. Mirma is really deceit. Never depart from her square, from the midst of the city. So these are people who not only are attacking him, not only are rebelling, but also amongst themselves, they're not good. Now he comes to the main point. What really bothers him is not what he just described. That's a separate problem, that these are people that are not doing the right thing. Now he goes back to the central point of this chapter that is really disturbing. And it's a very important lesson in life, that this can happen, and hopefully it should never happen to us. But Ki lo yev yecharfeni. It's not a regular enemy who's insulting me. Va'esa. If it would be a regular enemy, you know what? I can tolerate that. I can deal with that. Lo mesan'i alai higdil. And it's not someone who is my foe, one who hates me who has done such terrible things, Igdil, who rose against me, Vaisater mimeno, that I could hide from him. No, this is not an ordinary enemy that we're dealing with. You know who this is? Ata, Achitofel. Ata enosh kerki alufi umiyuda'i. We're talking about you, Achitofel. Even though part of this chapter is about Avshalom too, but he's mainly focusing on Achitofel, the great scholar, learned individual, smart man, advisor. You ata enosh kerki. You are like me, my equal. We were very close. I valued you like I would value myself. I treated you as I would treat myself. In other words, it's a way of saying you were an equal. Family. Not only that, alufi umiyudai, and you were my teacher. You were my guide. Some say alufis, you were my general. Miyudai, you taught me, you were very close to me, you befriended me. This is a very important verse in this chapter. The rabbis tell us that David HaMelech actually learned from Achitofel. He taught him. And he only taught him two things. You would think he taught him a lot. He taught him two things. And the rabbi said, listen, if David HaMelech has such great respect to an individual who only taught him two things, the more so if somebody taught you a lot of Torah, a lot of Chokhmah wisdom, the more so that you owe him respect. Look what he calls him. Alufi umiyudai. How close were we? The next pasuk says, Asher yachadav namtik sod bevet Elohim nehalech beragesh. Together we took sweet counsel. That would be the English translation. Namtik, to sweeten, sod, advice, counsel. In other words, we shared things that were private. We shared. We exchanged secrets, private information, sod. Namtik, we sweetened it. In other words, I spoke it over with you, and you advised me. And bevet Elohim nehalech beragesh. We walked with the multitudes, that's one explanation of what beragesh means, to the house of God. This pasuk, if you don't read what the commentaries have to say, it appears a little bit difficult. What is he talking about exactly? What did Achitofel do for him? He's describing something good now. Achitofel, remember the good days, what we did together and what you taught me. Here we have a remez, an insinuation of what he taught him. Achitofel saw David HaMelech once learning by himself. And Achitofel says, no, that's not a good idea. Don't learn by yourself. Learn in a group with people. You will exchange views. They will tell you what's right, what's wrong. They will take apart what you say. You'll have more clarity, a better understanding. It's not a good idea for someone to learn on his own, especially something that needs analysis. If it's just a review, you can review by yourself, that which you already know. But to learn something for the first time, something which is technical, a lot of details in halakha, rabbis tell us, don't learn by yourself. Learn it with a chavruta, with a companion, learn it in a group of people. And that is insinuated in the verse, Asher yachdav namtik sod, yachdav, together with others. You can gain the clarity. You can sweeten counsel. So here, this is a response to what he saw him doing. This is one of the things that he taught him, therefore. And the second one is insinuated in the words, Bevet Elohim nehalech beragesh. He saw him going by himself to the synagogue, to the house of prayer, to the Bet Midrash, and said, no, you don't go by yourself, you go with a lot of people. This is something special. But I prefer the second interpretation of the word beragesh. Not necessarily with lots of people, but anxiously and eagerly. When you're going to the house of God, the rabbis tell us that Achitofel was telling him, you should go like one who sees the king and runs after him. wants to be with the king, and he sees him coming through, and he runs after him. Don't walk. Run. Show that you're eager, that you're anxious to be there. Some people hesitate, should I go? I'm tired, it's cold outside. The house of prayer, the time of prayer. Get up. This is something special. As we will soon see, it's so important to pray together with others, not to pray by yourself. It is a more powerful prayer. So when you go to the Bet Elohim, he tells him, do it biragesh, with excitement, anxiously, eagerly. So this is for Achitophel. He's wondering what happened to him. This is what you taught me. Next pasuk. Now he turns his attention to the bad guys. Very, very powerful words. Yashim mavet alemo yirdu sheol chaim kiraot bimguram bekirbam. This appears to be that he's cursing, but it's not a curse. He's describing what will happen to the wicked. That he should bring upon them death, because that's what they're doing to themselves. And let them descend to the pit alive. Sheol is really another term for Gehenom, but it also means the pit. Alive. It was before their time. Kiraot bimguram bekiram, for there's evil in their dwelling within them. Now this appears to be something that David HaMelech is just saying to remind us that this is the end of the Reshaim. This is the end of the wicked. Yes, he's talking about what happens to the end of the wicked man. But he's also reminding us that this is something that people do without realizing in life, that they bring upon themselves the accusation of the Satan. Rabbi tells us, be careful not to put yourself in danger. There's several examples there, but I'm only going to give you one right now. Let's say somebody's very upset at someone, and he goes and prays Hashem. Punish him. Don't do that. Because if one asks for Hashem to intercede and to punish and to judge, they open up the books of the one who's making that request. Oh, you think you're such a good guy? And he's the bad guy? Let's see how much of a good guy you are. Since you're asking something of us to do to someone else, let's see. Maybe we should do it to you. But David HaMelech is pretty much saying that that's exactly what they did. And they're bringing it upon themselves. They said, he's a Ben Mavet. He deserves the death penalty. He does? Maybe you do. Don't talk about it. Don't mention it. So, Yashim Mavet Alem Yirdu Sheol Chaim, they're bringing about their own downfall, their own death, by asking for it for someone else. And that's called Midah Keneged Midah as well. That's a measure for measure situation. As the Torah says, Vasitem lo kashezamam la'asot. You sometimes do unto an individual what he intended to do unto others. David HaMelech therefore describes what the end will be. And the reason why this is not because of one incident. Kiraot bimguram bekirbam. Those last words are important. Their evil is within them, in their dwelling. All the time they're thinking about this and want this. Next verse. Now David HaMelech goes back and focuses on how he dealt with it. He's not asking for their downfall. Ani el Elohim ekrav Adonai yoshieni. What can I do? What's left for me to do? I turn to Hashem. I will call out to Him. And I know Hashem will help me out. He will save me. How did He save him? If you know the story of how he was in danger. But David HaMelech made it. After all, he remained king until the age of 70. He suffered, but he made it. But how exactly he made it, people don't realize, because there's all kinds of details. Obviously the enemies didn't succeed, but why didn't they succeed? Who ruined it for them? So there's one individual who's mentioned in this context over here. And his name is Hushi Ha'erki. when he saw David HaMelech running away from his own son, let me join you. He says, Dad, don't come with us. You're an older man. Just stay behind. And by the way, I can use you. You make believe that you are on their side. Befriend them. And like this, they'll share with you what their plans are, since you're a very important figure. And they'll trust you. And then come and tell me. So Hushiarki was very instrumental in frustrating the plans of Achitophel. Achitophel advised Avshalom how to win the war against David, and his advice was good. The way he planned it out was correct. The strategy would have worked. And Hushiarki told Avshalom, don't do it just yet. You need more power, more soldiers to accomplish this. But as a result of that, it gave David HaMelech more time to organize. It saved the day for him. Achitophel found out that his advice was not followed accurately, and he went and hanged himself. That was his end. Which is also very surprising. Why hang yourself? It's a sin to commit suicide. Very, very hard to understand it. Whenever I go through it, it pains me because these were learned people, you know. And according to what the rabbis tell us, they don't even have a share to the world to come. Not only did he die young, he was 33 years old, Achitophel. Doeg Hadomi was 34 years old. Half their life, and they're gone. They didn't live too long. To lose out here and the world to come. But this is the power of the Yetzer Hara. This is what we're learning here. The power of the evil inclination that can bring about the downfall of so many people that you hear today in the news. For things that they did 25 years ago, people are being accused today. And they're losing their job and their reputation as well. It eventually catches up with them. And last but not least, towards the end of the chapter, he talks about the importance of the prayer. He says, that prayer which I did was not a once-a-day prayer. It was Erev, Vavoker, V'tzahoraim, Asicha ve'eheme v'ishma koli. Verse 18. Evening, morning, and noon. Does that remind you of something? Shacharit, Mincha, and Arvit, all the 3 times that we pray, that the rabbis established. These are propitious times. They're not just certain hours of the day. They're propitious. And he says, I used those times. I didn't just pray once. I beseeched Hashem during all those 3 times. Asicha v'eheme v'ishma koli. I spoke, I lamented, I moaned, and he heard my voice. So he says, he heard my voice. I saw it happen, that all my prayers were answered. Pada b'shalom nafshi mikrov li, ki berabim hayu imadi. That is the way it should be pronounced, mikrov li. Because krav could mean a battle, even though some say it means a battle. Others say it means from coming close to me. So what he's asking about, I should say he's saying that he was redeemed. Hashem redeemed my soul in peace from the troubles that were coming close to me, if you interpret this mikerovli, or from the battles that he was involved in, because of the many who were with me. So here, he's talking about the success, about the effectiveness of his prayer. One way of explaining it was as a result of Rabim Hayu Imadi, because of the many people that prayed along with me. If one prays B'tzibur, if one prays with a congregation, his prayer is a lot more powerful. So much so that the rabbis tell us that every individual who learns Torah, does acts of kindness, and prays B'tzibur together with people, it is as though he redeemed me, Hashem says, and my children. The Shekhinah is in the Galut, it's in exile. So this act, or I should say all these acts of learning Torah, doing acts of kindness, and praying B'tzibur are powerful. If one individual, or if many individuals do this, they have a tremendous koach, tremendous power. So David HaMelech is saying, this is what he, of course, experienced on his own, that Hashem redeemed him, saved him from all his troubles, ki verabim hayu madi. You can say verabim, he's referring to the many people who were against him, not just one or two. Or you can say it, as the rabbis interpret it, to mean also that he's telling us about the power of prayer, how much more it is powerful when it's berabim, when many people are praying. It's also Kabbalistically insinuating about the many mazikim, the many elements out there, negative powers, demons, and the like, that can potentially hurt people. But as a result of the malachim that we have, the angels that protect us, that are created through the observance of mitzvot, we are protected. They shield us from all the potential harm that exists out there in the world. A lot of mazikim, negative forces that can hurt people. There's a lot of negative types of forces, all kinds of forces. I just call them demons, because that's what the rabbis call them, mazikin of all kinds. But we have malachim, we have angels that protect us. So the Rabbim Hayumadi, who are the many that were with us? The angels, they protect us. Yishma'el v'ya'anem v'yoshev kedem sela asher en chalifot lama v'lo yaru Elohim. So here he's saying that may God, who was around forever, he was on the throne forever, from the past, may he hear and humble those in whom there is no change and who do not fear God. That is one interpretation. The word v'ya'anem means that he should humble them. I prefer, however, the second interpretation, since he's talking about that Hashem should hear and therefore answer. Ya'anem means that he should answer the prayers, because we're dealing with what kind of people? Asher en chalifot lamo. You know why these people are almost a lost case? They don't realize that the world or life is something transitory. Chalifot. It goes by very quickly. Before you know it, you're gone. Why make such a big deal? Why get involved in politics? And why try to hurt people? These are people who are not unaware, totally unaware how life is so short. They don't realize how life is transitory. Another interpretation of the word chalifot, which means to turn, is that these people are not turning from good. These people are not turning from bad to good. Apparently they're going to stay bad for the rest of their life. Why? Why don't you give them a chance? Because lo yaru Elohim, they have no fear for God. A person who has a fear for God will repent, will feel terrible what he did. If not today, a week later, a month later. If not then, after somebody rebukes him and tells him about it. I'm sure they were confronted somehow. They didn't do anything. So David HaMelech says, answer us, answer those who are praying, and protect us from these individuals who don't appear to want to change. Shalach yadav v'shlomav hilel brito. Again, he's talking about Achitophel. What did he do that was so bad? He extended his hands against his allies, his friends. He profaned his covenant. A covenant, friendship. He went against it. This is a terrible crime. He extended his hands against Shlomav, those with whom he was in peaceful terms. These individuals did not figure on that. And they were nice to him. They treated him respectfully, and he didn't. This is a terrible crime, terrible sin. How did he do it for so long? Chaleku machmaot, people krav libo, raku, devarat mishemen, vehema petichot. You know how he succeeded for a while? Smoother than butter are the words of his mouth. But there was war in his heart. His words are softer than oil, but they're petichot. They are curses. That's all they are. They're not really good words. They're not really good intentions, even though they're soft, but it's petichot. And petichot implies wanting to cause somebody to fall. In other words, his plans, his mindset is one where he wants to hurt people, but he's coming across as a very, very sweet and nice and befriends you, and that's a great danger. That's the danger of the hypocrite, who gives the impression that he's a righteous man, he's a tzaddik, and he's really evil. These individuals are severely punished for leading on people. David HaMelech ends the chapter, the last two Pesukim, with a very, very powerful verse that basically applies in many areas of life, whether it's health, parnasah, livelihood, situations of where people are in trouble. Hashlecha l'Adonai yehavecha v'hu yechalkelecha lo yiten le'olam v'ot l'tzadik. Very famous verse. Cast your burden on Hashem. Let Him carry it, and He will sustain you. He will never let the righteous man falter. Trust Him, depend on Him, and you will see tremendous yeshuot. As I think the Chafetz Chaim once gave a beautiful mashal of an individual who had trouble trusting in Hashem parnasah. He says, what's going to be? What am I going to do? I have to work harder, perhaps take 3 jobs. He says, there was once a guy who was walking down the road with a heavy bundle, and somebody offered him a ride. So he was very happy, he thanked him. As soon as he went up the chariot, he still held the bundle with him. And the guy says, why don't you just put it down? Oh, he says, I don't want to put too much load on your carriage. It's nice of you that you're taking me, but to take my bundle too. Hashem can handle you, can handle all your bags, can handle all your bundles. What do you think? Hashem cannot do it? There was another guy who got on the train and people saw him push the walls. He says, what are you pushing? The train is going slow. I want it to go faster. So I'm pushing. He says, you think with your little muscles you can push a train? Those powerful engines are much more powerful than you. You cannot add anything to it. Hashem runs the world. You think you can help Him by doing something extra? Just trust Him, leave it to Him, pray to Him. That's what you need to know. Of course we have to make an effort, but it doesn't mean that we have to overdo it. And definitely not worry about it. Trust in Him, and He will take care of it. Finishing with the other group of people, the ones who don't trust, the ones who are far from being close to Hashem. He says, you will bring them down to the pit, to the grave, to Gehenom. These are individuals who are bloodthirsty, treacherous men, that they should not leave out half their life. Lo yachzu yamehem, v'ani eftach bach, and I will trust in you. This verse is again telling us what will happen, not that He wants it to happen, what will happen to such individuals that were deceitful, treacherous, bloodthirsty, hurt so many people. Sometimes we think they got away with it because we don't see anything happen to them. If it doesn't happen here, it happens in the Ber Shachat, down below, in the pit, in the grave. But many times, depending on what their actions were, they also see their downfall while they're alive. Sometime in their life, maybe not now, maybe later. We don't follow everyone's life. But if you were to follow many people's lives, you would see what eventually happened. We may not be able to tie the events together because we don't know him from birth. Everything is documented above. And such individuals who are such treacherous people will eventually have to pay for it. But he reminds us, Vani eftach bach, I will trust in you. This particular verse is said about the students of Bilam HaRasha, those that follow that philosophy of me first, who are not generous, who are not kind. There's another school of thought, there's another philosophy, the philosophy of Abraham, of an Ein Tovah, of a generous eye, of a kind-hearted person. So you have different types of people who are following different philosophies in life. And those who are not God-fearing can end up being the students of Bilam HaRasha, and this will be their fate. One way to stay sound and to not lose hope is to realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. And for that one needs to have Yirat Elokim. One needs to have the fear of God. And that is how David HaMelech ends the chapter. Ani yiftach bach, I will never lose my trust in you. I will never lose my emunah because of what happens. I may not understand everything, but ultimately I know that you're the boss. I have seen it happen in my own life, he says, and I want to share this with you as well. So this Tehilim, whether it's this chapter or another chapter, is important for this reason alone. People will have perhaps similar experiences. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. Don't fear. Have trust in Hashem. Having the trust in Hashem is one of the most powerful tools that we can ever have, especially in times of trouble. This is what will keep us sane. This is what will keep us strong. And this is what will make sure, hopefully, that we stay on the path of continuously doing the will of Hashem.